What is up, guys? My name is Brandon, and today we're going to be going over the August 26th market recap. It is currently Tuesday, and today is a big day. Actually, I'm going to say this week is a big week because of we have Nvidia earnings. That's one of the things coming up. We also have some top headlines. I'm here on Yahoo Finance, and I'm going to try to make this video not too long, maybe a max of 10 minutes long. But I do want to talk about a couple very important things for you guys to consider when you're making your investment decisions. Well, a couple headlines as we can see here. Trump has said he's trying to fire Fed Cook. That's not crazy important. He's mentioned that about Powell and similar Feds before, but the big one is Nvidia. We're really waiting on the Nvidia earnings tomorrow, which will be reporting in after hours. So after the market closes at 4, sometime after that, we should get the revenue and EPS on Nvidia. That's huge because Nvidia, their market cap is actually so big that it's almost the size of the entire Japanese market combined, just from that one stock. So as you could probably see from that, it's going to move the American market and all the markets significantly the next day on Thursday. Um, Ahead of this, today we had actually a green day, which was surprising to me. The S&P finished up 26 points, Dow Jones 135, the Nasdaq 94 and change. Um, that's all I kind of want to talk about some of the top headlines. There's some important things that I did want to bring to your guys' attention, just so you guys were aware of it. And to find this information, it's really not hard. Um, you can find it anywhere. ChatGPT, you can find it on Yahoo Finance, CNBC. There's many very good sites, but if you want to find statistics and you want to get direct answers, I strongly suggest going to ChatGPT. I mean, AI is becoming so valuable now that you can just look up a simple question and ask it a specific answer, and it will give you that answer. And what I kind of want to show to you guys is I was looking at evaluations, and you might say, why evaluations? Well, because over the past few months, some of these stocks in the market across the Nasdaq, Dow Jones, and S&P have been getting so stretched that um, at a certain point you want to see a healthy market where you also have dips. Um, and I did want to see what were the historical highs and when we start to see historical pullbacks because a lot of times history repeats itself, and in the market that is very true. I mean, historical patterns are very important and key into the market sometimes. So I did want to pull up this, and I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of depth on it. I'm going to make a separate video. This is just kind of a watch out for this, guys. It's more of a warning to what I'm foreseeing when I believe in my personal opinion. I also do have a chart that I'm going to kind of just briefly go over, and I actually had ChatGPT create it for me. So pretty interesting, and it just goes off of the historical data points that they have given me here. Um, so basically, what this is saying, I'm just gonna read a little bit of it. As of June 2025, the ratio stands at 217%, about 2.2 standard deviations above the long-term trend. Um, when we see stuff like this, just straight off the bat, it's we're looking at overvaluation, right? And something that I tell all my friends when they ask me about a PE ratio on a stock, right? I personally don't care really about a PE ratio because it doesn't signal much to me. It just signals stock is growing fast, it's growing rapidly. I mean, some stocks like Nvidia, Palantir, they're going to have high PE ratios. Just because the stock has a high PE ratio doesn't mean you should not invest into it. There are plenty of stocks with high PE ratios that are awesome investments and you can make a ton of money from. But when we do see, dozens and dozens of different stocks having, pushing historical trends and the broader market, moving a part of the norm and not having, the proper pullbacks that it should, you start to get a little bit cautious, because there is going to be a certain point in time when investors will be happy with their profits and they're going to decide to sell. And you don't want to be necessarily in the market or in that stock when they do. And the question, that you have to tell yourself is, you know, when are you going to sell? How much is enough for you? And that's something, you guys will have to decide. But I'm just going to kind of scroll through this. You can pause the video and read this on your own time. But this is basically just giving you the information about previous historical, where is it? Um, 1999 and 2007, and 1929. Those are also, very volatile times in the market. And this is just kind of giving you the information, um, and you guys can read it and, put it into your own assumption, and make a decision based on what you guys think. But I'm gonna show the chart. This chart right here by Buffett Indicators, U.S. stock market value to GDP, and this kind of just shows where we are, according to the standard deviation, in the year according to it, and the percentage on the y-axis here. I mean, you can see here in 2025, um, we're super evaluated, and this could signal pullbacks, and the month and the time period that we are in, August and heading into September. We're already in August 26th, which is close to September. These 2 months historically are some of the worst months in the stock market. That is, not an opinion, that's a fact based on historical data. And you do want to be wary when you don't really see major pullbacks. We're in the end of August, and when we don't, we've been seeing the market continuously rise. You want to be wary of that, and you don't want to get caught, when the selling pressure happens, because that would be bad for some stocks, big stocks like Nvidia, Palantir. Now, I'm going to briefly go into why I believe that this Nvidia earnings report, will be so significant for the market. Well, Nvidia right now is sitting at $182. If you look on a month, let's say 6 months, so half a year around. On the half a year, it's up 38%. And if you go to the 1 year, it's up 43%, which is pretty strong and significant growth, for a company like Nvidia. And like I mentioned previously in the video, Nvidia's market cap is so big, $4.4 trillion is tied into the Nvidia market cap, and that's almost the size of the Japanese stock market. So what I'm saying is this will move all of tech, and it will move the whole market on Wednesday and after hours, and then Thursday, and potentially Friday. And this could, if Nvidia earnings are bad, it could signal a sell-off on certain stocks in the U.S. stock market, and it's something that you guys should, be cognizant of, because nobody knows if they're going to necessarily, hit their EPS and their revenue. But if we're going to talk historically here, since, instead of playing it a betting game, let's look historically speaking. This is Nvidia's total revenue, quarter over quarter, year over year. You can see revenue on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, you can see quarter and then year over year. You can see a significant increase in revenue, since 23 to 25. So for the past, close to coming on to 2.5 years now, we've been seeing significant growth. But if Nvidia doesn't necessarily blow the earnings out of the water compared to all the hype they've been getting, that might also trigger the decrease in the Nvidia stock, which, if Nvidia goes down, tech, itself, will be reflected upon what Nvidia shows per Wednesday's after hour earnings report. That's pretty much all I want to talk about today, guys. Nothing really to talk about over here on the VIX. The VIX is pretty low. It's still at 14.6. What I was looking at was if you guys were interested in some plays. Again, this is not financial advice, but this is what I'm doing. And of course, want to share that with you guys. There's a company called A Labs, and they've been pretty overextended. And I mean, you can kind of get where I'm coming at with this stock, comparing it to the ChatGPT data that I showed you, how overextended stocks are, right? Okay, we have this company, A Labs. It's actually a really good company, but it's sitting at 179 bucks in after hours as of August 26th. And personally, if you look at the 1 month on that, it's up 46%. That is ridiculous, guys. 46% in 30 days. I mean, just crazy. If we go to look at the 6 month, it's up 115%. Okay, when we see stuff like this, guys, it's sometimes not healthy. When there's multiple companies that are huge like this, okay, with big market caps that are up, these levels of percentages and not having pullbacks, it could signal pretty soon along the road we're going to get a pullback. And Nvidia earnings, if they're bad, that could very much so be the nail in the coffin, and that could drive everything down, and we could see that pullback. Now, Fed Chair Powell did kind of signal potential rate cuts in September, but I don't really see that being the mover in the market right now. Just based on that's pretty far away. And, we still have some pretty big news this week, like the NVIDIA earnings that could drive the market down for the next coming weeks. So it's something to look out for. If you are a long-term investor that, puts their money in a stock and doesn't look at it for 30 years, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're someone that, wants to try to avoid the 5 to 10% dips in the stock market, and, when you see good telltales like, overvaluation in the market, or, testing historical standard deviations, and, if you do want to try to avoid stuff like that, I would definitely take this into consideration, guys. Um, again, I'm not going to give you guys exact advice on what you should do, but I do think that the whole market itself is really overvaluated and really overstretched. And in my personal opinion, I'm actually going against certain stocks like A Labs. I'm doing puts for a long term, not long term dates, about around 2 months out, towards the end of December. I'm going to be doing, actually, it's a little over 2 months. I'm going to be doing put options. And the reason why I put them out for so far is so my time decay doesn't necessarily eat away at my contract. I want to be able to make as much money as I can. Um, and let's say, the stocks don't pull back next week, or in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Well, in a month and a half, eventually, when it does pull back, and it will pull back even greater and more volatile. So the further the stocks go up and the U.S. economy, or the U.S. Markets go up, like the S&P, Dow Jones, and Nasdaq, eventually the greater pullback we're going to get, because it truly is unhealthy. Like any big, rise in evaluation in markets, for there not to be a pullback. And when there's pullbacks, sometimes they can be detrimental and create a lot of fear and panic in the market. So I guess today I created this recap of the market just to give you guys a little bit of understanding to where I'm thinking, and also, what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm going to be going against stocks like A Labs, overvaluated stocks. Now, there's dozens of stocks out there that are overvaluated, and you guys can do your research on that. It really isn't hard to do. You can ask generators like AI to ask you, give me a list of stocks that have done this percent over this time period, and see the overvaluation in them, um, and make your decision from there. So there are plays that you guys can actually make for yourself, and I'm going to be trying to do daily recap videos like this, to inform you of the market and inform you of what I personally think about the situation. But I think the next video is going to be tomorrow, August 27th, and we're going to talk about what the market's doing before Nvidia earnings, and I might actually do like a live stream during the Nvidia earnings, just to I think it'd be cool to get on a live stream and just see what the Nvidia earnings do. It's definitely something that nobody can predict, but we know what will happen if the Nvidia earnings are good, and we know what will happen if the Nvidia earnings are bad. It can go either way. If they are good, then tech stocks, chip stocks, they'll all rise, right? The market will see a huge green day, and that will further stretch the markets to having a potential, I'm going to say micro pullback, and I'm not going to say crash. I'm going to say a pullback along the road. So the further evaluated we get, the further stretch we get above historical standard deviations, the more volatility we're going to see in the short term when the stocks decide to pull back. So I think that's it for this video, guys, and stay tuned for August 27th.